Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Mirza Timmerman from Senior High School of Yogyakarta, and on this opportunity, I will discuss about children's rights. What is children's rights? Based on United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, children's rights include the right to health, education, family life, play and recreation, and adequate to live in the standard of living and to be protected from abuse and harm. Children's rights cover their developmental and age-appropriate needs that change over time as child grows up. There are four general principles underpin all children's rights. First, non-discrimination means that all children have the same right to develop their potential in all situations and at all times. For example, every child should have equal access to education regardless of the child's gender, race, ethnic, nationality, religion, disability, parentage, sexual orientation, and other status. Second, the best interest of the child must be a primary consideration in all action and decisions concerning the child, and must be used to resolve conflicts between different rights. For example, when making national budgetary decisions affecting children, government must consider how cuts will impact on the best interests of the child. Third, the right to survival and development underscore the vital importance of ensuring access of the basic services and equality of opportunity for children to achieve their full development. For example, a child with a disability should have effective access to education and healthcare to achieve their full potential. The last, the view of the child mean that the voice of the child must be heard and respected in all matters concerning his or her rights. For example, those in power should consult with children before making decisions that will affect them. A history about children's rights. After World War I, the League of Nations, which would later become the UN, drafted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which included the rights to life, food, shelter, education, freedom of speech and religion, justice, and peace. Recognizing that children were especially vulnerable, the UN agreed to adopt the 1924 Declaration of Geneva of Children's Rights. This declaration was short with only 5 statements, but it outlined a list of responsibilities toward children who were considered vulnerable. After the Second World War, the United Nations General Assembly accepted the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. This declaration paved the way for the adoption of the Convention of the Rights of the Child in 1989, which became the first legally binding international text to protect children's rights. The Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most widely ratified human rights treaty in history. It sets out the rights of children in 54 articles and is guided by 4 beliefs. 1. Children shall not suffer discrimination in Article 2. 2. In all decisions affecting children, the best interest should be the main concern in Article 3. 3. Children have the right to survive and develop healthily in Article 6. 4. Children have the right to have their view taken into account in matters that affect them in Article 12. Short timeline. 1830, the United States began to regulate and limit child labor. 1924, the League of Nations adopted the Declaration of the Right of the Child. The short document recognized that mankind owes the child the best that it has to give. The Declaration is the precursor of the later Child's Rights measured by the United Nations. 1959, the UN adopts an expanded Declaration of the Rights of the Child. 1962, the publication of study of better child syndrome in the U.S. list of states making a reporting of child abuse and neglect mandatory for certain professionals such as doctors, teachers, and social workers. 1973, Marian Reich Edelman founded the Children Defense Fund to conduct research and lobby for child welfare and rights in the U.S. 1974, the U.S. Congress passed the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act to fund state-level development of child protective services. The law is amended in 2010 to address issues around trafficking and then again in 2016 to incorporate the needs of children affected by substance abuse. 1989, the UN adopts the Convention of the Rights of the Child, which has been ratified by more countries than any other human rights agreement. 1994, U.S. Ambassador to the UN Madeleine Albright signs the Convention of the Rights of the Child on behalf of the U.S. The convention has yet to be ratified by Congress. 1999, the UN adopts the Worst Forms of Child Labor Convention. 2000, the UN adopts protocol forbidding child prostitution, child pornography, the sale of children, and the involvement of children in armed conflict. These were unanimously ratified by U.S. in 2002. Why children's rights are important? Children are innocent, trusting, and full hope. Their childhood should be joyful and loving. Their life should be interpreted as they gain new experience. But for many children, the reality of childhood is altogether different. Right through history, many children have been abused and exploited. They suffer from hunger and homelessness, work in harmful conditions, high infant mortality, deficient healthcare, and limited opportunities for basic education. In many cases, they are abused by the very individual responsible for their care. A child need not life, such a life. Childhood can be and must be preserved. Children have the right to survive, develop, and be protected and participate in decisions that impact their life. Just remember, the Charter of Child Rights is built on the principle that all children are born with fundamental freedoms and all human beings have some inherent rights. Children's Rights in Status Quo. Compiled from the World Vision website, I found about 1 billion children aged 2 until 17 are estimated to have experienced physical, sexual, and emotional violence or neglect during 2015. 2. 152 million children are engaged in child labor. 73 million work under hazardous conditions. 41% of girls in least developed countries are married before 18. Of the 47 least developed countries, 33 are in Africa. A World Bank study indicates that as many as 3 in 10 children with disabilities have never been in school. 2,000 million women and girls have experienced female genital mutilation. And then children with disabilities are almost 4 times more likely to experience physical and sexual violence. About 126 million girls are missing around the world due to a preference for sons in prenatal sex selection. And then about 1 billion children aged 2 until 17 are estimated to have experienced physical, sexual, and emotional violence or neglect during 2015. Child labor, child marriage, children recruited into armed conflict, and other forms of oppression deprive children of their rights. Children are also deprived of their rights when their birth is not recorded, so they don't have a birth certificate, or when they are forced to flee conflict. The International Labour Organization (ILO) estimates that 152 million children are working as child laborers around the world. These children are denied the opportunity to go to school, play with friends, or receive the right nutrition and care for a healthy and fulfilled life. Instead, they are forced to work long hours for a little reward. Millions of children are being exploited through mentally and physically dangerous work that involves hazardous workplace and other exploitative acts such as slavery, drug trafficking, prostitution, and armed conflict. This environment negatively impacts a child's well-being and development and often deny a child's right to health and survival. For protection and education. Have you ever known about this fact? To be honest, I and probably all of you will also be surprised and just found out about this statistical data. And this problem doesn't only occur in one or two regions or one or two countries. The problem of violation of children's rights has covered the global level, especially in a pandemic situation like this. The risk of violence against children and human rights violation can be ascertained to have a high number. The question now, how do we protect and respect children's rights? Did we protect all of them? It's easy answer. The answer is we can protect them. But with what? First, volunteer your time. Get involved with other parents in your community, help vulnerable children and their families, and just start a playgroup. 2. Discipline your children to follow. If you have a children, never discipline your child when you are upset. Give yourself time to calm down. Remember that discipline is a way to teach your child. Use privilege to encourage good behavior, and timeouts help your child regain control. 3. Examine your behavior. Abuse is not just physical. Both word and action can inflict so deep, lasting wounds. Be a nurturing parent. Use your action to show children and other adults that conflicts can be settled without hitting or yelling at each other. Educate yourself and others. Simple support for children and parents can be the best way to prevent child abuse. After school activities, parent education classes, mentoring, the respite care are some of the many ways to keep a child safe from harm. Be a voice in support of this effort in your community. And then, report abuse. If you witness a child being harmed or see evidence of abuse, make a report to your state Child Protective Service Department or just local police. When talking to a child about abuse, listen carefully. Assure the child that he or she did the right thing by telling adult, and affirm that he or she is not responsible for what happened. And invest in kids. Encourage leaders in community to be supportive of children and families. Ask employers to provide family-friendly work environments. Ask your local and national lawmakers to support legislation to better protect our children and to improve their life. This method is recommended by the Washington State Department of Children, Young and Families. I think that's enough. Thank you for watching